So you're broke, but you need a lot of Flame Elementium because all of your upgrades are expensive. What do? A lot of people might say you re-roll, and that would be the incorrect answer. The right thing to do is start farming. Torchlight Infinite's Endgame offers a lot of customization. You can start by just using Netherrealm Essence to roll your maps over and over again. Generally, higher numbers are better, but higher numbers are also more dangerous. However, things get really crazy when you add compasses, and after adding compasses, you then add the effect of trait cards and chaos cards, which I'll get into in a little bit. Like with a lot of other action RPGs, there are multiple factors that determine how rewarding your endgame is. You should always farm at a point where you can clear efficiently. If it's taking you 10 minutes to clear time mark 7, but only 1 minute to clear time mark 6, you're probably going to be more rewarded for clearing the time mark 6s than forcing yourself to struggle through time mark 7. Also, because bosses can be a bit problematic, especially when your DPS is low early on and you aren't that geared, feel free to skip them and come back to them later. I know it might feel like you're losing the moral battle there, and you could feel like you're missing out on good loot. Trust me, most of the time, the thing that drops is worth 1 FE if you're lucky. So if you haven't progressed to around time mark 5 or 6, and you haven't really unlocked any of your trait cards, for now, focus on that, progress forwards, and come back to this video a little bit later once you're farther into the endgame. But if you've gotten to time mark 6 or time mark 7, maybe even time mark 8, and you're starting to hit that wall, where you don't know where to go from the items you picked up and found on the floor, to the items that you need 10 or 100 Flame Elementium to buy, then this guide should help you get a better idea of what to farm and how to farm it. For me personally, the strategy that I generally go for is a currency-based strategy, meaning I'm trying to get a lot of raw Flame Elementium to drop on the floor, usually right after I kill a legendary monster or a rare monster, though there are some exceptions. The Flame Elementium that you see dropping is maybe only a single stack, but since it's getting upgraded from lower tier currencies, sometimes you get a stack of 6 or even 10 FE just dropping right in front of you when you're doing super juiced content, though I will come back to that quickly at the end. As you're progressing in the endgame, you may notice little symbols on all the areas that you can run. These are your cards. At the start of a hand, there will be a series of cards dealt out, and you will get to run through 5 areas, effectively interacting with 5 cards. Some of these cards will have an inheritance value. This means it applies to the subsequent maps equal to that number. Some of them will have a memory value, meaning that it will reappear an equal number of times to the memory value, but you'll have to go run it again. It won't automatically apply, so memory effects do not stack, and inheritance effects do stack. However, neither one will survive the end of a round, so after that counter at the bottom goes from 5 to 0, you'll be dealt a new hand, you'll be able to change up your trait deck, and then choose from the new cards to see what you want to run. The 2 types of cards are trait cards, which are randomly dealt from a deck of 10 that you choose, and chaos cards, which are dealt completely randomly and can often have very powerful effects. So you do have some control over it, but it's not going to be exactly what you want every single time. Now, when you're just starting out, I suggest going through time marks as quickly as you can, because every time you complete a set of 5, you'll be able to level up one of these cards, and the more of the cards you level up, the better their effects. Now, for example, you'll want to build your trait deck for things you want to farm. This is mine. The basic idea is I'm using the Generous card, which has a chance for Flame Fuel to be upgraded, with an inheritance value of 2. This means that if Flame Sand drops, there's a 14% chance it becomes coveted Flame Elementium. If a stack of 10 Flame Sand drops, it has a 14% chance, or 1 in 7, to become 10 Flame Elementium. That could be your next upgrade, though it doesn't happen super often. This also has an inheritance value of 2, meaning it will apply to 2 subsequent maps, assuming that you have attempts left. For the rest of my cards, I'm focusing on things like putting more rare monsters in, and putting more Ember drops in. Overall, this means that my maps are packed with lots of enemies for me to fight, and I feel like the loot from them is fairly rewarding. There are other ways to build though, such as focusing on Trials of the Gods, or just boss rushing. This is the one that I found to be both very rewarding, as I farmed thousands of Flame Elementium using this method, and also really fun, since I'm exploding the screen and there's lots of stuff to fight. If you're looking to fund your build, it's perfectly fine to copy the deck that I'm using and try it for yourself. However, after you get a bit of currency, experiment. You'll unlock different cards, and if it isn't working, you'll always be able to fall back on this strategy later. One other interesting strategy, which I explored for a bit and didn't really find to be for me, is the Trial of the Gods. There are currently several trials that can appear randomly as you're clearing. For example, the Trial of War means you have to kill a lot of enemies really quickly. It stacks up to 10 times with increasing rewards per stack. Now, there's a couple other profitable aspects to farming in Torchlight Infinite's endgame. Before I get into them though, a quick reminder that if you're enjoying the video, you should get subscribed, as I'm going to be talking about more Torchlight Infinite stuff in the near future. While you're down there, be sure to leave a like, and if you want more content after this, then check the card. I'll have several videos, including some from my second channel, 10 Gaming Thoughts, where I have reviews and video essays talking about why I think some of my favorite games are fun. Before I get back to things, a special thanks to my patrons and channel members for the continued support. More about how you can support at the end of the video. For now, let's talk about those other methods of juicing your farming in Torchlight Infinite. There are currently several trials that can appear randomly as you're clearing. For example, the Trial of War means you have to kill a lot of enemies really quickly. It stacks up to 10 times with increasing rewards per stack. The Trial of Might, on the other hand, locks you in a room, sets the floor on fire, and forces you to kill enemies. This one is intensely unenjoyable, albeit fairly rewarding. Then there's Goddess of Hunting, which will always appear before a boss. The first thing you do is you pick from a positive effect. You might trigger a skill, you might get a damage bonus, or you might get invulnerability when you'd otherwise die. And it's paired with a buff for the boss and a reward. Don't just pick what seems like the safest thing on the list. Make sure to look at the rewards. Generally speaking, gold symbols are better than purple symbols, and more symbols mean better rewards. Finally, the last trial is the God of Machines trial. These machines could be fairly tanky, and they're going to try to destroy the pillar, so it's kind of like a tower defense game. Just a little bit, except you're the tower and you only have one save point. While these can take kind of a while, they do give rewards 3 times, so I generally do think they're worth using. It should also be noted there are rare and powerful bases that only drop from these Trial of the Gods. So if your build's able to do them, I do suggest giving it a shot. Finally, if you want to take your farming from just a basic level up to the next level, you can add compasses. And this is something that you should absolutely be doing. Make sure to pick compasses that synergize with the cards that you have. So if you have cards to clone Ember Drops, then run Ember Compasses. If you have cards to duplicate Memory Fragments, or to make Memory Fragments drop, run Memory Fragment Compasses. Using compasses will make the enemies far tougher, but also make them more rewarding. And it's generally a risk versus reward trade-off that far exceeds the value of the compass itself. So if you sell them, you might get a steady income, but you'll absolutely lose out on a fortune in the long run. So if you're feeling poor and looking to improve your build, hopefully now you have an idea of what to do and how to do it. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask them down in the comments below, or if you have a farming strategy that you really love, feel free to share it. Again, a special thanks to my patrons and channel members for the continued support. For as low as $1 a month, you can help to make videos just like this one possible. If you want to hop in and join the conversation, then follow the link below to join my Discord and be sure to react to give yourself a community role. For now, maybe you're looking for something else to watch. I suggest this video right here, as that should tell you more about Torchlight Infinite or another topic that you're interested in. You can also always check a series of curated videos that I've put in the card, talking about builds, mechanics, and even the character I'm currently playing. For now, I hope you learned something, and good luck with your farming.